ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो
ओम नमो
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम
ओम
नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो
नमो
भगवते
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 वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं
नारायणं
नमस्कृत्यं
नमस्कृत्यं
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
नरं चैव
चैव नरोत्तमं
नरोत्तमं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
देवीं
देवीं
सरस्वतीं
सरस्वतीं
व्यासं
व्यासं
ततो जयमुदीरयेत्।
ततो
ततो
जयमुदीरये।
जयमुदीरये।
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु
अभद्रेषु
भद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नित्यं
नित्यं
भागवत
भागवत
सेवया।
सेवया।
भगवती उत्तम श्लोके
भगवती
भगवति
उत्तम श्लोके
उत्तमश्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी.
भक्तिर्भवति
भक्तिर्भवति
नैष्ठिकी।
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 Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, titled Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation, and verse number today is verse number 18. Jnanam jnaneyam parigyata
ज्ञानं
ज्ञानं
ज्ञेयं
ज्ञेयं
परिज्ञाता
परिज्ञाता।
trividha karma chodana
त्रिविधा
त्रिविधा
कर्म
कर्म
चोदना।
चोदना।
karanam karma karteti
करणं
करणं
कर्म
कर्म कर्तेति।
कर्तेति।
trividha karma sangraha.
त्रिविधा
त्रिविधा
कर्म
कर्म
संग्रहः।
कर्मसङ्ग्रहः।
संग्रहः।
ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं परिज्ञाता
ज्ञानं
ज्ञानं
ज्ञेयं
ज्ञेयं
परिज्ञातः।
परिज्ञाता।
त्रिविधा कर्म चोदना
त्रिविधा
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 कर्म
कर्म
चोदना।
कर्मचोदना।
चोदना।
करणं कर्म कर्तेति
करणं
करणं
कर्णं
कर्म
कर्म
कर्तेति।
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 त्रिविधा कर्म संग्रह.
त्रिविधा
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 कर्म
कर्म
संग्रहः।
कर्मसङ्ग्रहः।
संग्रहः।
Any Prabhuji or Mataji would like to lead?
ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं परिज्ञाता।
ज्ञानं
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 ज्ञेयं
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 परिज्ञाता
परिज्ञाता।
त्रिविधा कर्म चोदना।
त्रिविधा
त्रिविधा
कर्म
कर्म
चोदना।
चोदना
करणं कर्म कर्तेति।
करणं
करणं
कर्म
कर्म
कर्तेति।
कर्तेति
त्रिविधा कर्म संग्रहः।
त्रिविधा
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 कर्म
कर्म संग्रह.
संग्रहः।
Thank you, Prabhuji.
ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं परिज्ञाता।
ज्ञानं
ज्ञानं
ज्ञेयं
ज्ञेयं
परिज्ञाता।
परिज्ञाता
ज्ञाता।
त्रिविधा कर्म चोदना।
त्रिविधा
त्रिविधा
कर्म
कर्म
चोदना।
कर्मचोदना।
करणं कर्म कर्तेति।
करणं
करणं
कर्म
कर्म
कर्तेति।
कर्तेति
कर्तेति।
त्रिविधा कर्म संग्रहः।
त्रिविधा
त्रिविधा
कर्म
कर्म संग्रह.
संग्रहः।
Thank you very much.
ज्ञानं परिज्ञाता
ज्ञानं
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 ज्ञेयं
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 परिज्ञाता।
परिज्ञाता
परिज्ञाता।
ज्ञाता।
त्रिविधा कर्मचोदना
त्रिविधा
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 कर्म
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 चोदना।
कर्मचोदना।
चोदना
करणं कर्म कर्तेति
करणं
करणं
कर्म
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 कर्तेति।
कर्तेति
कर्तेति।
त्रिविधः कर्म संग्रहः
त्रिविधा
त्रिविधा
कर्म
त्रिविधा
कर्म
कर्म
संग्रहः।
संग्रह.
संग्रहः।
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Word by word meaning. Jnanam, knowledge.
ज्ञानं
ज्ञानं
knowledge.
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 Kneyam, the objective of knowledge.
ज्ञेयं the
Name the
objective of knowledge.
objective of knowledge.
Parigyata, the knower.
परिज्ञाता the
ज्ञाता the
knower.
knower.
Parigyata the knower.
Trividha, of three kinds.
त्रिविधा
Trivida
of
of
three
Trividha of
kinds.
three
kinds.
kinds.
Karma, of work.
Karma
Karma
of
of
Karma
work.
work.
of work.
Chodana, the impetus.
Chodana the
Chodhana the
impetus.
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 Karanam, the senses.
Karanam the
Karanam the
Karanam the
senses.
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 Karma, the work.
Karma
Karma
the
the
Karma
work.
the
work.
work.
Karta, the doer.
Karta
Karta
the
the
Karta
doer.
the
doer.
doer.
Iti, thus.
Iti
Iti
thus.
Iti
thus.
thus.
Trividha, of three kinds.
Trivida
Trivida of
of
three
three
Trividha
kinds.
of
kinds.
three kinds.
Karma, of work.
Karma
Karma
of
of
Karma
work.
work.
of work.
Sangraha, the accumulation.
Sangraha the
Sangraha the
accumulation.
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 Translation by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Swami Prabhupada ki
Srila
jai.
Prabhupada ki
Yeah.
jai.
Knowledge.
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 the object of knowledge,
The object,
Object
of
of
knowledge.
object
knowledge.
of knowledge,
and the knower
And the
And the
knower
knower
and the knower
are the three factors
are
are
the
the
three
three
are the
factors
three
factors
factors
that motivate action:
that
that
motivate
motivate
that
action.
motivate
action.
the
action.
senses,
The
The
senses,
The
senses,
senses,
the work,
the
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 work,
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 and the doer
and the
and
and the
the
doer
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 are the three constituents of action.
are the
are
are
the
three
the
three
three
constituents of
constituents.
constituents
action.
of action.
Any Prabhuji or Mataji would like to read this purport?
There are three kinds of impetus for daily work: knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower. The instruments of work, the work itself, and the worker are called the constituents of work. Any work done by any human being has these elements. Before one acts, there is some impetus which is called inspiration. Any solution arrived at before work is actualized, is a subtle form of work. Then work takes the form of action. First, one has to undergo the physiological processes of thinking, feeling, and willing, and that is called impetus. The inspiration to work is the same if it comes from the scripture or from the instruction of the spiritual master. When the inspiration is there and the worker is there, then actual activity takes place by the help of the senses, including the mind, which is the center of all the senses. The sum total of all the constituents of an activity is called the accumulation of work.
Okay, Prabhuji, let's all chant together this beautiful verse. Before we discuss this beautiful verse, Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam
Stapitam yena bhutale
Swayam Rupa
Swayam Rupa
Kadamaham
Kadamaham
Dadati
Dadati
Swapadantikam
Supadantikam
Vandeham Sri
Vandeham
Guru
Vandeham
Sri
Sri
Sriyuta
Guru
Guru
Sri
Padakamalam
Padakamalam
Sri
Padakamalam
Guru
Sri Guru
Vaishnavamsha
Samjaya
Vaishnavamsa
Sri
Sri
Rupam
Sri Rupam
Sagrajatam
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 Sahaganaraghunatham
Sahagadanatam
Tam Tam
Tam
Sajivam
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 Sadvaitam
Advaitam
Savadutam
Savadutam
Navadvitam
Parijana
Parijanam
Sahitam Krishna
Saitam
Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Devam
Chaitanya
Devam
Devam
Shri
Sri
Radha
Sri
Radha
Radha
Krishna
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 Padan
Padam
Padam
Sahagana Lalita Shri
Sahaganalita
Sahagalita
Shri
Sri
Vishakhavitamsha
Visakham
Visakhapitacha
He Krishna
He
He
Karuna
Krishna
Krishna
Sindhu
Karuna
Karuna
Dina Bandhu
Sindhu
Sindhu
Jagatpate
Bandhu
Dinabandhu
Jagatpate
Gopesha
Jagatpate
Gopika
Gopika
Kanta
Kanta
Radha
Radha
Kanta
Kanta
Anta
Namostute
Namostate
Tapta Kanchana
Sapta
Taptakanchana
Kanchana
Gaurangi
Gaurangi
Radhe
Gaurangi
Vrindavaneshwari
Vrindavaneshwari
Vrishabhanusute Devi
Vrishabhanusute Devi
Pranamami
Pranamami
Haripriya
Hari
Pranamami
Priya
Acha
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
Kalpa
Kripa
Kalpitacha
Sindhuvaiva cha
Pasindhu
Patitanam
Pitanam
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namo
Namo Namo
Jai Shri Krishna
Jai Shri
Chaitanya
Krishna
Prabhu
Chaitanya
Nityananda
Prabhu
Shri Advaita
Nityananda
Gadadhar Shivash
Radha
Adi Gaura Bhakta
Gaur
Vrinda
Bhakta Vrinda Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
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 Rama
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama
Hare
Rama
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 Hare
Rama
Hare
Hare
Nilachal Nivasa Nitya Prabhatvane Balabhadra
Balabhadra
Subhadra Jagannath
Subhadrabhyam Jagannatha iti.
Namo. So thank you so much for joining this wonderful Sangha. And this verse is actually a amalgamation of knowledge, jnana, and action, karma. And here, Krishna is beautifully trying to sandwich both of it and explain to us. Prior to this, Krishna explained that there are 5 factors which drives the outcome of any action. And we have been there. And then Krishna talks about proprietorship and non-proprietorship. So now Krishna is going from action in trying to break this action into 2 things. See, say for example, you want to do something. Without knowing, you can't do anything. You want to write a programming language for your company because the company wants a report to be programmed. The temple wants you to do a service of making puri for the Sunday feast. You just like that can't end up doing it. you need intelligence, you need knowledge. So here Krishna is trying to sandwich both knowledge and action. So knowledge, three things Krishna is saying. There has to be a knowledge. The knowledge is our ability to understand, think, will, as Prabhupada is explaining so beautifully, feeling, willing, knowledge. Then the objective of knowledge. What this knowledge is going to do, make puris or write a program. Parigyata, the knower, and we should have that knowledge. So then there is this knowledge. And then with this knowledge, you transport that to karma or work. And here, and there are also three things by which you can do the
Karma.
action, karma. And what are those three things? The senses, the work, and the doer are the constituents of action. So very simple words, but Krishna has power packed it with so many things. So we're going to discuss that there are three motivators for action, which are knowledge, and there are three constituents of action. So what are the motivators for action? The three motivators is jnanam, gneyam, parigyata. That's the knowledge. Knowledge is a plus b whole square is equal to a square plus b square plus 2ab. That's knowledge. And what is the objective of knowledge? It can help us create some trigonometric functions where you basically try to find out the hypotenuse of a perpendicular triangle, and there has to be a mathematician who knows this. So jnanam, gneyam, parigyata. So those are involved in action. So there is this knowledge. And then Krishna beautifully is saying karanam is the instrument by which the action is done. Karma is the action and karta is the doer. So there is something where you have to sort of flatten the needed floor, and there has to be a person who has to do it. So there has to be some action and there has to be a doer, and there has to be some instrument. So say a person goes to see some scenic flowers, birds in a natural place. So first time he has to have knowledge that there is a place where the scenic birds comes at certain time of the year and they are seasonal, and after some time they will go away. Obviously, if you want to see some bird watching in Atlantic City, you can't go anywhere. Now you go, there'll be hardly any birds. But if you go sometime in March and April, there are beautiful birds. And these birds, they fly hundreds and thousands of miles to come to Atlantic City in Cape May area, and you can see it. So you have to have that knowledge, jnanam, and gneyam, objective of the knowledge, that you have to see and relish nature. And the knower, we need to Google it, we need to get some information that at this point of time sometimes these birds miss it, and in the news, if you don't see that these birds are really coming on the 23rd of March, which is actually beginning of spring or whatever it is, and you think you're driving 150 miles to get there, and then you realize the birds are the weather forecast is the birds are about to come in 2 days time, not today. So you kind of miss everything. So it's the knowledge, the objective of the knowledge, and the actuality of the knowledge. And unless all these things lines up, you can't really have the success. And even if you made plans to do the knowledge, then you have to do some driving, you have to do some action. And so another example is given. Someone who is studying engineering, he has jnanam, but the objective is not to gain knowledge, but to get a job because he is an engineer. And then gneyam, that means with the objective is to enjoy the outcome of the employment. And so jnanam, gneyam, parigyata are the three factors of action. So the three motivators, and the motivation for anything for that matter starts with knowledge, as Krishna is mentioning. Because if you really want a person to be a doctor, unless you inspire him or her with the ability that the knowledge acquired by being a doctor would help him or her in growing the traits of compassion, when you see a person in the deathbed and you see the pain and you have the desire to neutralize that pain by compassion, then you instill that knowledge. Once you instill that knowledge, everything will fall in place. Unless that motivation is there, however hard you try, a person is not going to be motivated enough. Or you motivate him or her that, hey, you are going to make a lot of money. If money is the motivator, so be it. But the fact of the matter is, for anything, any activity, these are the three motivators: the knowledge, the objective of knowledge, and the knower of the knowledge. Krishna is beautifully telling this, and when you utter the words of Krishna in the beginning, it gives that element of you're basically speaking the words spoken by the lotus mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna, who is the most knowledgeable person in the whole world, has dissected the aspect of knowledge, and everything, any action starts with knowledge. If an action starts without knowledge, if there is no objective, if there is a person who is not driving the knowledge and the knowledge is missing, the action is not going to be fruitful. So those are the knowledge angle, and Krishna is amalgamating, or rather is rather sandwiching both karma, jnana, and karma in this beautiful verse. So here, moving to the action part now. We have spoken a lot about the jnana part, where there are three things which has to be there. So on the karma part, or the action part, if a person wants to be an eloquent speaker, then the person has to be there. You can't have person speak by he not present in that auditorium or the assembly. The person has to be there, the voice has to be there, and the person has to speak, and person speaks several times, and by that he become a good speaker, and that is a habit or chesta Krishna speaks in the prior verse. So there are three things which constitutes the action: karanam, karma karteti, trividha karma sankarti. These three things Krishna is saying: karanam, karma, karteti. The person, karteti. Karanam, person. Karma, the voice has to happen. So if a cricketer who is batting and bowling, batsman thinks that on this ball he will hit a six. So that is the desire of that person. But the batsman missed the bowling line. So it is not that every time the batsman desire will be fulfilled. So there has to be a sanctioner. So far, when we talk about doership, we think we are doing it, but there has to be a sanctioner. The person has to sanction that whatever we're doing is good enough. I mean, you can go in the car with a fast tag or a easy pass, but if you don't have enough dough in your card and it is not sanctioned or is approved, you'll get a picture of the back of the car in mail saying that there is a fine when you passed easy pass, because the sanctioning authority didn't sanction your ability to go on the high speed lanes because you didn't had enough. So there has to be a sanctioning authority. And who is that? The Supreme. So when the Supreme Personality of Godhead sanctions, then Prakriti Kriyamanani. Prakriti is under the jurisdiction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, nature, material nature, and material nature executes what is sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is the progression of Jiva having the desire, having the knowledge, having an ability and enthusiasm, chesta, as Krishna is saying in the prior verse, having the first should start with the desire and then sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Prakriti, helping you through the jurisdiction or through the sanctioning authority to come together and do. So, as you can see, so these three things and three things, there are six things which are discussed in this source. Three for jnana and three for karma. When jnana and karma come together, and you recognize that the sanctioner is somebody who we should take solace from, who we should surrender from, that transcends to bhakti or love for this Iswara who is sanctioning everything for us. So, thinking that bhakti is without karma, thinking that bhakti is without jnana is foolish, because the end game, as you saw, the progression is through Ishvara and Prakriti fall in place. Unless the sanction is there, however, you might have seen the people must be very knowledgeable. They do the all hard grinds, but they have prarabdha karma in the pious credits they have is not good enough, and they have done some very unapproved things in the past, due to which Lord doesn't sanction them. So that's why, if we understand this, we recognize why good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people, because we have a very limited knowledge. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead knows us from immemorial, time immemorial. That's the reason why we have to recognize that we have to give patience a chance by surrendering and getting sanctions from Ishvara so that we prosper. And if you understand that, frustration will not happen, suicides will not happen, divorce will not happen, because there is somebody other than you who is sanctioning it. And if there's bad news, so be it. And when bad news strikes, many people are happy. You know why? Because the mortgage is getting filled. Mortgage is getting filled. Time will come when the payouts are all going to be done, and then everything will be sanctioned for you because you have paid out all the debts. So, motivation being the knowledge, and constituent of action is amalgamated, and next verse is even going to get even more better. Krishna is going to go deep into some of these subject matters. And now Krishna is summarizing, as you know, this is the summary. Krishna, the first chapter is the onset of the war. The second chapter is actually a summary, which basically is saying, I'm going to speak about this. This is the summary, this is a preview, this is a trailer I'm going to give. That is second chapter. And from 3 to 17 is all individual yogas and beautiful subject matter, Virat Roop, and so on and so forth. And 18th, we are now in 18th, where we're doing every verse. We're not doing the top 108 as we did from 1 to 7. So now we're doing every verse because Krishna is now summarizing. So Krishna gave a trailer, and now then, 15 verses, and now Krishna is summarizing. So we'll try to. So when something is getting summarized, Krishna is coming to the point directly coming to the point. Motivation. There are three motivators and three constituents of action: jnana, karma, put together, because the time is short and the war is about to begin. Krishna is going to end Bhagavad Gita in 50, 60 more verses. So, to the point, beautiful subject matter. And you can apply this everywhere in your life. Any act you do, any thing you do, whether you are a insurance person, whether you are a engineer, or whether you are anything, there has to be motivation for work, and work has to be performed. So both go hand in hand. Both jnana and karma go together. but at the end of the day, the sanctioner is somebody else. So we should all dovetail all this jnana and karma into the sanctioner, and that is where the personal relationship exists. And before that, Lord spoke about the five things which we discussed. The place of action, karta, the doer, karana, senses, chesta, endeavor, and superkos, super soul, and that super soul is the sanctioner. So, so if you take this course seriously, 18th chapter, the subject matter we are discussing, we will never get frustration, because we know the inner workings. The science of transcendental knowledge is revealed so beautifully that when the sadness strikes, we will not feel sad, because we know our chesta is just 20th, and that too we are not, our senses are not perfect. So whatever chesta we may do, if the sanction is not there from super soul, it's not going to thrive. So I'd like to end here, open up for some discussions, because the discussions makes it more interesting, because Bhagavad Gita is nothing but a FAQ, and it's a discussion which makes us makes these principles come out and appear very practical in the presence of devotees, because devotees think alike. And that's why I would encourage you to put your comments, corrections, and reflections for this beautiful subject matter. Thank you so much for your attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any comments, any reflections, Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji and all Vaishnavas. Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Jagannath Prabhu. Prabhuji, thanks for explaining very precisely and crisp. I read this shloka many times, but I did not go into this detail, Prabhuji. Means it did not. Today only I was reading Bhakti Charu Maharaj's quote, Prabhuji. It has to be revealed. This is not knowledge, Prabhuji. This has to be revealed in your heart by Krishna. Because the same quote, the same verse is read by everyone, Prabhuji, but the knowledge is only revealed if Krishna wants you to convey what it is, Prabhuji. So you have beautifully conveyed that Krishna through your medium, he conveyed the meaning of it, Prabhuji. Only point which I want to, which struck me when you were explaining was, Prabhuji, and which you mentioned also, but what I got the realization, I'm telling you, the jnana and the karma are being done even in the material world, Prabhuji, like these scientists and these engineers and scientists, they have the knowledge and they are applying that, and we are getting practical solutions to it, Prabhuji. But what they are missing is the bhakti part, Prabhuji. Unless it is dotted with bhakti, if it is not dotted with bhakti, we get into the cycle of the karma. That is, there will be an effect on that, Prabhuji, right? Good, bad, it will be reactionary. It's not nishkam karma. But the moment you put bhakti along with the jnana karma mishra, means summation of jnana and karma, dovetailed with bhakti will make it like there is no reaction, there is no action and reaction effects of that, Prabhuji. That's what I wanted to share my realization when you were explaining that it's a bhakti basically is the main constituent along with this jnana and karma. Of course, the factors you explained, the object of knowledge, gnanam, gneyam, and the knower, definitely. For example, knower is the spiritual master, Prabhuji. Jnanam is basically the knowledge revealed through scriptures, right? And gneyam is the object of knowledge, is our connection with the supreme, basically. Because we are at a material plane and Krishna is at the spiritual plane, the only thing which connects is basically the object of knowledge, which is Krishna, and the knowledge, and of course spiritual master is the knower who basically guides us. So I wanted to share this Prabhuji with when you were speaking, this is the realization that crossed my mind.
Mhm.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. And that's why when a person gets entangled with high degrees, he challenges that notion you spoke about, where the love for Godhead is missing, and he's mechanically into these experiments, labs, papers, and after some time, he loses total faith, and he doesn't get happiness. He doesn't get any element of accomplishment by virtue of the work. But at the time, if he adds the spice of love for Godhead, there'll be ample love because he has the jnana and he has done the extra mile. And that's the reason why Prabhupada says when a person gets too much entangled into these degrees and doctoral, postdoctoral issues, as he thinks that he is the uh, proprietor of that thing, and the proprietoriness, doership mentality sets in, and he doesn't give the due to Ishvara, as we discussed, the sanctioner, as we discussed, or Paramatma, as we discussed in the preceding verses, then he never gets. You'll see so much of sadness, so much of um, hard feelings scientists have because they have not kept. Simultaneously, on the contrary, the scientists who have kept bhakti or love, and that's where when they started breaking this atom, neutron, proton, and finally they couldn't break that further, they named it God particle. So we're to think that unless there is a hand of the Supreme in everything and anything we do, we cannot succeed. And without that, you go on and end up doing any kind of research, it will only give us sadness because the secret sauce or the sanctioner is missing in this equation. Thank you, Prabhu. Any other comments?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, definitely, Prabhuji. We always speak of this example. Like everybody saw the apple falling, Prabhuji, but only the Newton, Krishna made him realize that, Prabhuji. Because he has done the karma, he has done the research, he has done the thinking. About Prabhupada told thinking, feeling, and willing. He has done the thinking part of it. And because he may not have bhakti, Prabhuji, but what I want to tell is that even the fruits of the karma we get here also, on the material plane also. But it will only become really, really fruitful through the sanction of Krishna, definitely, whether you are cognizant of that or not, it is a sanction of Krishna. Whether we are cognizant of what we are achieved today is not because of our ability, definitely. He has made us the instruments to do that endeavor, but finally it is his sanction. But the point what I want to tell is that, Prabhuji, that if it is not connected with, if we don't have the, what we call, I'm forgetting the word, Prabhuji, the gratitude, right? If we don't have that gratitude that some higher authority is sanctioning me this idea or this realization or this concept, whatever you are working on, then it will not lead into perfection, Prabhuji. Like it will not lead into the ultimate aspect of what you're trying to do, right? So
Yeah.
like the gravitational force was, Newton did, but it was not complete, Prabhuji. Later Einstein came, because they didn't have, Einstein had bhakti, to my knowledge, Prabhuji, but Newton had bhakti that we didn't see any material which supports that. Einstein came and proved that the Newtonian theory is just a subset of the theory of relativity. The Newtonian mechanics is just a subset, right? Where we tell that the mass is constant. But at a higher speeds, the mass may also vary, Prabhuji. That's what Einstein tried to prove, right? What I'm to tell is that the more, if we add bhakti, we move to the perfection. But if we don't add bhakti, it may be a temporary. We think that it is hit. There is still room for knowledge and improvement if we don't add bhakti.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Guru.
Actually, Einstein has mentioned in that a lot of things he has designed and developed. He recognizes the hand of the Supreme
Supreme.
in that, including he had opined on the gravitational laws, and has opined that if God wouldn't have really come into the mind of Newton, and see, so many times before that, Newton has seen the apple falling, but that question
Right.
never struck the sense. The neuron, the atom, or whatever didn't strike. It's not the first time he saw an apple falling,
Mm.
but at that time, Lord came into his mind and God gave that eureka, or that scientific thought, and that transcended. And if he would have had the recognition, he would have gone far more than what he achieved.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, thanks, Prabhuji. Yeah, I want to.
any other comments? Bala Prabhu, Prajapati Prabhu, Rohit Prabhu, Anuradha
No, thank
Mataji.
Hi, Prabhuji, did you say something? Sorry.
Yeah, any comments, any reflections?
No, Prabhuji, the class was wonderful. After a long time, I'm joining. Yeah, so it was good. Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
God bless you.
Prabhuji,
Any other
I have a comment.
Mhm.
So a lot of the actions we do, right? A lot of things we do, there's a passion. Some people have that passion, so they go the extra mile to achieve that, whatever they are attempting to. So where does that fit in? The passion fits in. Is that the what do you call? Is that the motivation for?
Yes, yes. So passion, Prabhu. Um, sometime back we read. I'm sharing my screen now. So passion is the chesta or the endeavor. So to answer your question, Krishna mentions there are 5 things which goes into the secret sauce before the outcome. He talks about adhishtanam, body, karta, karana, chesta, and super cause, super soul. So body is the embodied, which is going to do the action. The doer in the sense is body by itself means nothing. It's a mass. Unless the soul is there, it doesn't move the body. So soul. Then the senses, which has to be. So the passion in your question is actually the endeavor or chesta, which Krishna mentions in the prior verse. We just went over 3-4 verses before. So chesta is just 20%. That's why you may give your 100% into the endeavor, but that is actually 20%, and that may not be perfect. Also, that because we are not perfect souls. So that is just 1/5 of the secret sauce, and the final cause is of course super soul. Does that answer your question? So the passion is just the chesta or the endeavor part, which is the 1/5 of the composition of the outcome of the action, as per
And
Bhagavad Gita.
also the motivator in the second part, the karma part today, Prabhuji.
Yeah, that is the motivator, which is the karma part, and that which is here. So of the 3 motivators, definitely that passion is built into the 3 constituents of action. So it is definitely built into that. So you have the person, the voice or the enthusiasm, and the karteti. So that goes into there. So in the grand scheme of things, chesta or passion is just 20% of the total equation. You may give your 100%, but other things you have to have a good body. You have to have a good soul. You have to have fine senses to execute that passion. And then you need to have authority of the sanctioner, the super soul who's doing it. So there are 5 things, as Krishna mentions in 18 point. Don't remember the verse number, but we went over it, and that was a really wonderful verse when we had the conversation. That a lot of eyes lit up. That Chesta is just 1/5 of the entire thing. Okay, Prabhu?
But the question is, isn't it the passion that makes you do the things perfectly, or is it something else? You know, the action that you do, if you're committed to it, it gives you the commitment, right?
Yes, yes. So passion is a internalization of success in an aggressive manner. That's how I would like to define for the sake of this discussion. So it is actually having a tremendous amount of desire to succeed. But for that, what you have to do? You have to acquire knowledge, as we discussed today. And there has to be knowledge, there has to be a person guiding you, and so on and so forth. So, but if think about, Prabhu, you have that passion, you need a embodied body to execute that passion, right? So you have to have that body, right? Then you need to have so whenever, if a full toss comes, right, Prabhu, in cricket, I'm just using the word, but many people cannot drive the full toss for a 4 or a 6. There has to be a good hand-eye coordination. So that's the body part. Then your senses has to be agile. That's the senses part. And finally, your prarabdha karma, you may have in the past, you may not have spoken truth. You may have misrepresented your age to play in under 19 or whatever. So, and you may be thinking you are doing it right. You may be passionate enough, but Lord is watching, and He may ding you for that. So that's why I really want to stay with those 5 items. Passion is awesome, but we have to consistently execute passion. If we have misrepresented our passion in the past, Paramatma is not going to sanction. Does that help, Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Also, Prabhuji, I want to add one more point to that. Prabhuji, Bala Prabhuji, the passion, what is the purpose, what is the ultimate goal in your mind? Is the passion at a body level, or is it at a spiritual? Prabhupada had a lot of passion, Prabhuji. He wanted to give Krishna consciousness to the devotees, right? So there the passion is. But if the passion is for my body, my soul, not soul, my body and my senses and my gratification, then as Prabhuji told, the sanction from the Krishna may not be 100%. It may be 50%, 60%, okay. But when it is the purpose of that passion is for a greater good and it is for a transcendence or for a spiritual, then that Krishna gives 200%, Prabhuji. I want to add that one point, Prabhuji. The nature of passion, basically.
Thank you, Prabhu. Was that all right, Prabhu? Bala Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you. So if there is no other question, we'd like to end here. 2 weeks from now, there is a host of prominent Kirtaniyas from different parts of US converging in ISKCON of Central New Jersey for a 2-day Kirtan festival. And also Radheshyam Prabhu from Pune, a very prominent person in our movement. He's very well read and well spoken. He's coming to our temple on the 14th of February, which is the Valentine's Day. So 2 upcoming big programs lined up for our spiritual rejuvenation. So please attend and please join Bhagavad Gita discussion, because when Bhagavad Gita is discussed within a group of devotees, like-minded devotees, then we enrich from each other and we benefit from each other. So thank you so much. So let's, unless anybody has any
Prabhuji,
other
one
questions.
question, when is Advaita Acharya's appearance day, Prabhuji?
I don't remember, Prabhu. It's in the
No
calendar.
worries, yeah,
It's very soon.
yeah,
It's
that's why I'm asking, Prabhuji.
it's probably within a week, and I have to just don't want to misspeak. Actually, it's in the
Sure.
calendar, but within
Yeah,
a
yeah.
week. Yeah. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
commenting.
Thank you.
And Prabhuji, the Toronto Maharaj's name is, I think it's Bhakti Marga Swami.
Bhakti Marga Swami. Bhakti Marga Swami is a wonderful initiating spiritual master as well, because our Viratru Prabhu is his actual disciple, and also he is a very wonderful script writer, kirtanier, energetic, wonderful, wonderful Maharaj to get association Prabhu. So when Maharaj schedule is in Toronto, just get as much association as possible.
Sure, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Thank you for
Thank
comment.
you.
I forgot. I'm getting bad at names. My fault. So let's offer obeisances at the lotus feet of all Vaishnavas by offering prayers. Vancha kalpataru vaishya kripa sindhu
Patitan
pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Bhagavad Gita Mahagranth ki jai. Shila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari
Hari
Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Hari Hari Bol.